Okay, welcome to the Rotary E-Club of District 7710, and I'll pass it over to Kathy to introduce our guest speaker tonight.
Thanks, Jeanne. Our guest speaker for the meeting this evening is Judy Julian of Go4Less Travel. Judy is a travel industry expert and will be sharing her experiences in the travel industry and providing travel tips for us. Judy has developed her love of travel as a small child through her parents and her parents' travels all over the world. They brought back wonderful stories and souvenirs, and she developed a love of travel at a very young age. When she was in college, she and a friend traveled all over Europe and Israel and traveled by planes, trains, boats, and actually hitchhiking. So her thrill of meeting people and seeing sights that she had only seen in books inspired her to become a travel agent as her second career. Judy's been a travel agent for 8 years and has earned an accreditation in cruise counseling from the Cruise Line International Association. She is also a sandal specialist and a Disney travel agent. In Judy's previous careers, she developed programs for at-risk and incarcerated young women in North Carolina. Her advocacy of at-risk young women and gender-specific services will always be a part of her life. Several years ago, a learning resource center for at-risk girls in Greensboro was named for Judy and Doris Mack as strong advocates for girls at risk. Judy earned her BA in psychology from NC State and has a master's of social work from UNC School of Social Work. So please join me in welcoming Judy to the meeting this evening. Judy?
Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much, Kathy and Jeanne. Thank you for inviting me. Now, to get started today, to get you in the mood for travel, I want everyone to close their eyes, and we're going to take a little journey. So close your eyes and pretend that you are on a plane, or maybe it's a cruise ship, going to the destination of your dreams. You are landing or docking at this beautiful place. And what are you going to do first after you check into your lodging, your cabin, or if you already have your stateroom, or a wonderful resort, or a hut? Are you going to go in the afternoon to climb a mountain, go biking, take a hike, go to the ocean, go to the little town? After a wonderful afternoon, it is evening. Are you going to the dining room on the cruise ship? Are you going to find a very fancy restaurant in a big city, maybe in Europe? Or are you going to get street food? Maybe after that, some local entertainment or entertainment on the ship or a concert. Then off to bed, maybe in a hammock, maybe rocking yourself to sleep on the ship. Maybe you're at a wonderful resort room listening to the ocean and getting ready for the next day in the destination of your dreams. Now open your eyes, and unfortunately you have to come back here now, but I hope you got in the mood to hear about travel. And here are a few quotes that I love. I'm in love with the places I have never been to. I travel a lot. I hate having my life disrupted by routine. I want to make memories all over the world. People don't take trips. Trips take people. The first thing we're going to do, if everybody has maybe a piece of paper and a pen or pencil, I know a number of you I hear are from other countries, and I know, at least I heard, that several other people have traveled a lot. I know Jeanne has and Kathy has. So I'm going to give you a little quiz. And so I just want you to put the number which you think the answer is. Okay. The first question is, what is the most crowded day of the year to fly? Is it 1, December 24th? Is it 2, November 25th? Is it 3, January 1st? Or is it 4, July 20th? The next question is, how many people in the U.S. have ever cruised before? Is it 35%? Is it 26%? Is it 50%? Is it 75%? 35 is number 1, 26 is number 2, number 3 is 50%, number 4 is 75%. And this is a really good one. How much luggage is lost in the U.S. when you fly in the last year? 3% is number 1, 10% is number 2, or is it number 3, 0.03%? The next question is, what is the best day of the week to fly? Is it number 1, Wednesday? Is it number 2, Friday? Is it number 3, Saturday? Next one is, where is the best place, and this is for you cruisers, to be on a ship if you are a new cruiser? Is it in the aft of the boat, which is the back of the boat? Is it number 1? Is it number 2, the midship? Or is it number 3, forward? Okay, here are a few other questions for you. What is the most visited tourist attraction in the world? Is it number 1, Times Square? Is it number 2, Disney World? Is it number 3, the Colosseum in Rome? Is it number 4, the Eiffel Tower? Okay. Champagne is less than 100 miles, this is the next question, is less than 100 miles away from Paris. How many bottles of champagne are shipped around the country from there each year? Is it 1, whoops, a second. Is it 1, 1.5 million bottles? Is it 2, 322 million bottles? Number 3, 525 million bottles? 4, 1 billion bottles. Okay. Finish this phrase with a well-known Italian cities. All roads lead to 1, Naples, 2, Venice, 3, Rome, 4, Verona. The next question is, in the movie National Lampoon's Vacation, where is the Griswold family traveling? Number 1, SeaWorld. Number 2, Wally World. Number 3, Disney World. Number 4, Busch Gardens. Okay, so let's go back and see how well you did. Okay, what is the most crowded day of the year to fly? Okay, what did you answer?
November. July 20th.
That is the answer, correct. Okay, how many people in the U.S. have cruised before?
35%.
Nope.
26%.
Yes, right. Okay. Now, this is a good one because everybody's lost luggage, I'm sure, sitting in this virtual room. Okay, how many? 3%, 10%, or 0.03%?
10%.
Nope.
3%.
Nope. 0.03%.
Except it feels like it's worse when it happens.
Yeah, it feels like everybody's lost their luggage. Okay. Where is the best place on the ship if you are a new cruiser? Is it in the aft of the ship, the midship, or the forward?
Midship.
Midship, correct, correct. Okay, so how many bottles of champagne are shipped out every year from the region of Champagne? And by the way, you know that no other country is allowed to call sparkling wine champagne unless it's from France. So you may have Freixenet, which is from Spain. You may have all kinds of other sparkling wines, but they cannot be called champagne except if they're from that region. So how many bottles were shipped out?
1 billion?
Nope. 322 million.
Hmm.
Okay, so finish this phrase. Everybody should know this. With a well-known Italian city, all roads lead to
Wrong.
Rome. All right. Okay, now this is a tough question. How many of you saw National Lampoon Vacation? Did everybody see it?
Oh, yeah.
Wally World.
Okay. Wally World. Correct. All right. You guys did pretty good. Pretty good. So some of them actually surprised you, correct?
Oh, yeah.
What is the best day of the week to travel?
Oh, I forgot that one. It is Wednesday.
Mhm.
Wednesday, the middle of the week. And then we're going to talk. I'm going to give you some tips on air. And so you guys can, you know, and somebody will, okay, so I'm kind of keeping time. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the travel industry. And I'm going to move through this pretty quickly so I can give you some tips. Okay, the travel industry, as you may or may not know, is an $8 to $9 trillion business. That is more than tech and pharma combined. There are 12 zeros in trillion. So it is a huge business. Actually, the travel business started back in 1841 with a man named Thomas Cook. You may have heard of Cook's Travel. That's the original, he was the original travel agent. And the way he got to be a travel agent was that he was a Baptist preacher, and he struck a deal with the Midland Railway to organize transportation for a group of members of his temperance society. And guess what? The railway paid him a commission. So he is definitely the first travel agent. So travel goes back, way back. And then in the 1920s, as a lot of you may know, airlines came on the scene. There was Delta and American, and one that's not around anymore, and a few of us may remember it, not all of us, Pan Am. And so they were formed in the 20s. And then a man named Joe Saunders came up. He was an entrepreneur, and he came up with something called automobiles for hire. So those were the first rental cars. And then one of his agencies, I believe, was bought by Mr. Hertz. And that, of course, is Hertz Rent-A-Car, which we're all familiar with, I'm sure. In 1952, American Airlines installed the first magnetronic reservoir. This was an electrical mechanical system of vacuum tubes and a magnet storage drum, and it allowed airlines to see and store seat availability on a central platform. From that, in Canada, about the same time, the University of Toronto developed with Canada Airlines the first computerized reservation system. So as you can see, that goes back quite a while. And then of course, IBM and American Airlines got together, and of course we have a computer system here called, the first one was Sabra, or Sabre, as most people call it, and computer reservation system. And by late 1970s, a lot of travel agencies had terminals in their offices. So that's how reservation systems came about. Now, a number of you may not remember, but for travel, you had to go to a travel agent back then. I mean, there was no choice. There was really no internet. And so to book your travel, you would go through a travel agent. And in the 1990s, of course, came along, the Expedia and Orbitz launched their first websites. And from that, they have an aggregate of airlines, which is still available, which is Kayak. Today we have a self-service internet and then there's still full-service travel management companies. But as the internet began to launch, I think there were like 34,000 what we call brick and mortar travel agencies in the United States. And that went down to about 13,000 by 2013. Actually, I think it's going up again because more people are starting to form or getting back into travel agencies. Most travel agents, like myself, work from home and are part of host agencies. So one of the things I know a lot of people like to hear about when a travel agent talks is how to get good airfares. Airfares are so sporadic. I mean, they go from one price to another. They can change as many times as 3 times a day. And so, you know, I may be booking a reservation and my reservation is stopped because the air went up. And all of a sudden the air went up $100 and there's nothing I can do about it. So, so that seems to be a tough thing for people to find their way around buying airfare. And, you know, it's nice to go on an airplane and everything, but as I tell my clients, I hate to see them spend half their budget on air when it really matters more when they get there to their destination, and that's when they should have resources to spend. But a lot of times they spend a lot of it, you know, flying somewhere. So I've looked into several of these just recently. I've heard about them. There's something called airfordable.com where you can kind of put your air on layaway. Now, as you know, air does not come out, like if you're going in June of next year to a destination, your air, you won't be able to see air for that time period until about 330 days before. So it'll probably be the end of July or 1st of August. But there is something now for layaway air. And then one way to get better prices on air, there's something called skip lagged. And it is where a lot of destinations, like going to maybe one big city to another big city, can be pretty expensive. But if they stop over in, I mean, may not be as expensive as, like, say, going from Atlanta to Hartford, and maybe a plane will stop at their home base in Washington, D.C., and you want to go to Washington, then you can get off the plane. However, you have to have your luggage with you. So a lot of people are trying that, and maybe a cheaper way to fly to Washington and go and say you're going to Hartford. But just remember that if they take your luggage, you know, there's not enough room in the overhead, then you're kind of out of luck. So, but that's something that has just come about as well. People are doing that more often. Okay, some of the ways to fly may be cheaper, and you may know some of these. I know a lot of people think there's this air that comes out in the middle of the night, and sometimes you can get cheaper air by maybe getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning and checking it out. But there's really no time period. You know, they say between, you know, Monday and Tuesday or Tuesday night. There's no real truth to that. I know some people swear on it, but I haven't really seen it. Sometimes I've got better air on Mondays or Fridays. It just, you never know. But if you fly during the middle of the week, like on a Tuesday or Wednesday, sometimes you can get cheaper fares. Cheaper fares, of course, are always better if you get up really early in the morning to fly. If you can fly at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, it's usually more expensive around midday. So if you want to do your flights early, then that's a good way to save money. So really check airfares in the middle of the week and see if they might be better. Fly in the middle of the week. Don't fly in the middle of the day because there usually can be higher rates. Sometimes you can get you can book one-way tickets and sometimes save maybe $20 to $30. If you're willing to let destinations drive your trip, there is something called, and I don't know how many people know about this, but it's called kayak.com Explore. And you can look on that. It's kayak.com/explore. And you can look on that and it will show you maps of different places in the world each month. And it'll have airfares on there. So that may be a way to drive your trip to go to that destination, maybe in the winter. Like I was just in Europe in the winter and my flight was a lot cheaper than going in the summer. Also, you may use a travel agent to go through a consolidator, and sometimes consolidators have better rates for you. If you fly your discount airs, as you may know, we have Alaska now and Allegiant and Frontier and JetBlue from here. And of course, Southwest doesn't have oil futures anymore, so their fares are generally about the same unless they're having a sale as other fares. But of course, you get 2 free bags checked, so that's always nice. And you have to be careful, as you know, when you do a Frontier or you're in Europe, when you do like we did Wizz Air, you got to be careful about how much luggage you take on and how much they're going to charge for your seats, how much they charge for oxygen. No, just kidding. They don't charge for oxygen. But you have to really look at their rules. And also, if you have 2 bags, a lot of them will not let you fly with 2 bags on board, 2 personal bags. So you have to put one inside the other. They are very, very strict about things like that. So, be careful. I mean, it's great when you can fly, like say I flew from Barcelona to Paris for a round trip for $100. Once you're over in Europe, it's great to fly around, but you have to go by their rules. So just be careful of things like that. Also, some things to think about. When you see a good airfare, you might start tracking. And when you see a good one, don't hesitate. And if you go through Southwest or some of the, think Orbits, if the fare goes down, sometimes, they'll honor that. Of course, you get credits with Southwest, so that's really good. Then you don't have to hit yourself over the head and think, oh my God, I didn't get the best fare. And use your frequent flyer miles wisely. Unfortunately, frequent flyer miles are hard to use today because it might not be the day that you want to fly on. It might be, sometimes you might have to go in a couple days early. So you might want to use your frequent flyer miles to upgrade yourself to first class or business class when you're flying long distances, like to the Philippines or to Australia. There's some good apps if you're looking for the right seats on a plane called Seat Guru. And then, of course, if you can't find a gate that your plane is leaving from, there's something called Gate Guru. There are all kinds of apps now out to help you with your travel. Let me see. I'm checking my time here to see how much time. How much time do I have? Another few minutes?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So one of the questions I get all the time, and so I thought I'd address it if you want to hear about it, and if you don't, you can say, don't talk about that. But one of the questions I get, okay, didn't travel agents go out with the Stone Age? Basically, once the internet hit, I get that question. I more than you know. But there's some good reasons to use a travel agent. Would you guys like to hear why?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, first of all, travel agents are educated and have personal experience. We try to travel as much as possible. Also, we don't rely on TripAdvisor solely when we're researching a destination, a resort, or some type of cruise. We use a travel agent forum. So actually, I get a lot of my advice from other travel agents, and I think it may be a little more objective than some of the TripAdvisor things. I do look at TripAdvisors because I know a lot of my clients look at TripAdvisor. Also, you know, when you go on vacation, it's expensive, and you don't get to do it over. So you really want to get it right. And a travel agent can ask you the right questions to help you get it right. Sometimes I find people don't know where they want to go. They don't really know what they want. I've had couples, you know, sit there and go, well, I had a honeymoon couple not too long ago who said one of them wanted the beach and one of them wanted adventure. And so we kind of put that together, and they had not even thought of going to Costa Rica to get both of those things. So each of them got a little bit, one got a little bit of adventure and one got a little bit of beach. So they were very happy. So a lot of times the kind of questions I ask get you to start thinking, what do I really want out of this vacation? So also sometimes I have clout. I go to trade shows, and I meet a lot of like people that you know, are in management at some of the resorts, and you know, they say, yeah, call us whenever you have a client come, and you know, we'll take good care of them. So sometimes I can get some extra perks. Sometimes I have suppliers which I use, which you can't see on the internet, and travel agents have suppliers. And we can get extra perks through them for you and for our clients. And, you know, they may be very exclusive. So I had one client say, after I presented the package to them, his wife combed the internet, and I had gotten them some really cool amenities, and she couldn't find them anywhere. So, you know, sometimes we can get you cool things. Also on cruises, sometimes I can get you better prices if someone in my travel agency, which I'm a member of a host agency with probably 2,000 to 3,000 agents, if one of those agents has a group trip going on that particular cruise that you want to go on, sometimes I can get you that group price. It just depends. Sometimes I'm also a member of a consortium, and sometimes, like recently, I got somebody a free massage on a ship. So, you know, I will check those things out to see what I can, you know, and I know all travel agents do, so I'm just not talking about myself, can check what they have out to get you the best package. Sometimes I can find good cost savings for you because I'm going to compare. And time. One of the things people are really short on these days is time. And I can save you time. One girl came to me and said she was looking for a cruise in the Southern Caribbean, and she spent 15 hours combing the internet looking for one. I said I could have done it in like 15 minutes for her. So sometimes I can save you time. And I try to get, you know, you matched up with the right ship or the right resort to make sure, because I know about, you know, basically what each resort has or can find out. So as I said, it's a big investment, so you might want to use a travel agent. And that's all I have for you tonight. And I guess, are there any questions? Yep.
I have
Yes.
a general question.
Okay.
What's your opinion on the all-inclusive trips?
You know, for some people that don't, like honeymoon couples especially, do not want to do anything but go and relax. They don't want to worry about money. They don't want to worry about food. They want drinks. You know, they don't want to worry about spending for drinks. So they love all-inclusives. Some people, I was just talking to a couple who felt like, you know, maybe for them, because they didn't drink, that, you know, they really didn't need an all-inclusive, and they felt like they could, you know, just get what they wanted in a place that wasn't all-inclusive. So it really depends on what you want. For families, it is great. And I see Jeanne just said all-inclusives are awesome. And they are. I love them, you know, because I don't have to think about what I'm going to do or where I'm going to eat my next meal or whatever. And I don't want to think on vacation when I'm on a vacation like that. You know, it depends. I mean, if you're going to like, of course, the ocean or to the Caribbean, if you're going to Europe, there are not any all-inclusives there. A lot of people want to go to Hawaii and go to an all-inclusives. There are not any there. So you have to go to certain places to get all-inclusives too. So I just think it depends on what you want. Have you been to an all-inclusive?
Yes, a couple of times I've gone to the Dominican Republic. You're right about the Caribbean.
Yes.
And it was fantastic. And because I'm one of those who, I don't want to work, I don't want to walk, I don't. So for me, it was completely ideal. But I can see your point that some other people may not, want to stay that close. But I enjoyed it a lot.
Oh, good. They're great. Anybody else have any questions?
Judy, I wanted to ask you what your favorite place to travel is.
You know what I tell people? What this quote says, I don't know if I've been there yet.
Okay, so out of the places you've been.
Oh, gosh, that's so hard. Well, Israel was a beautiful, beautiful place. And I was young when I went there. And I love Europe. I absolutely. And one place I didn't think that I would like, I had no desire to go to Spain. And my boyfriend travels to Spain for work. And we went to Barcelona. And I absolutely adore Barcelona. So, and I haven't been to some places that, may be my favorites, I don't know. Where's your favorite place that you've been?
I love Iceland. So.
Iceland is nice too. Yeah. Did you go to the Blue Lagoon?
I didn't. We were only there for 48 hours and we decided to rent a car and get out of the Reykjavik area. So, but I can't wait to go back for a longer period of time. So.
Well, if you do, just remember to wear your water shoes if you go to the Blue Lagoon.
Okay.
Very important.
Yeah, it's right off the road on the way into Reykjavik from the airport. If anybody wants to go there, it's like the #1 tourist destination. It's so easy to go and do really cool things. So
it looks like another planet. Any other questions?
I had a question.
Yes.
So do you think it's just a general thing? I'm just checking the market trends currently. Do you think Airbnb is going to affect the issue of travel booking in future? Or do you think people like you still have a chance to still be in the market?
Oh, I definitely think that Airbnb is great for people, especially a lot of young people like Airbnb because it's, it's easy and it's cheap. I think I will still have a market. I have found this year it has exploded because people today, want to travel more, and a lot of maybe millennials too, millennials and baby boomers. Want some advice. And so they like the advice of the travel agent. The other thing I have found is, the time factor and the group factor. I get groups because it's hard for people, as Jeanne knows, planning destination weddings can be a chore. And it's nice to have a travel agent because you're not emotionally involved, especially if it's family and friends. So we kind of stay out of the fray, and we can, be very respectful of family members who can't go and because they don't have the money or they don't want to travel or they can't travel. So, we try to handle them with kid gloves. And so sometimes it's better to have an objective person in the mix when you're doing a group like that. And one of the things I love to do nowadays, which is big, is multi-generational family trips. Those are some of my favorite. I love seeing grandparents go with their grandchildren places, and just a big family group. And so they sometimes need someone to coordinate for them as well. So I think there's a place for everything.
Great question. Thanks, Osborne. Judy, what do you see as maybe a new and upcoming place to visit? Like, it just seems like over the past few years, Iceland is one of those places. Do you see any other new place that, or maybe actually, and maybe like 5 years ago, it seemed like Croatia was the big thing. So where do you see now
Right.
as a location that might be a big place to,
Oh
for
gosh,
people to
you know
start
what?
going?
I was just looking at something in a magazine, and I'm trying to think where that was. Croatia, Slovenia is one. You know, I've had some people ask me about places like the Seychelles and also the Canary Islands have been places that people are getting interested in. You know, the TV has a lot to do with where people want to go as well. When I went to Iceland, we went on a cruise, and there was several families there that were taking their children. Had been watching Game of Thrones, so I think that was one way that Iceland and Norway particularly got popular. I'm trying to think of some other places. I think South America is starting to become more popular too for people to go to. And of course, Australia and New Zealand, I know Jeanne has been there, is still one that a lot of people want to go to. But Iceland really, really has struck a chord with a lot of people over the last, I guess, 2 or 3 years.
So we can see Eve checked it out.
Yeah, it's really easy if you fly Iceland Air to Europe, because then you can have a layover, and that's what we did. We were coming back from Norway, and so we flew Iceland Air so that we could have 48 hours over, and you can do up to I think 5 or 6 days of a layover, and it's still the same fare. So
yeah, they have some specials during this, like the summer. And of course, the winter is the time when you want to go see the Northern Lights.
Judy, what travel magazines do you recommend us to read that gives you good information?
I get Condé Nast Traveler, and I also get National Geographic. I love both of those.
Thank you.
Those would be great magazines in your office.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. We have National Geographic. I need to get Condé Nast.
Condé Nast is really good.
Okay, let's one last question. I think we have time for one more. Does anyone else have a question? Maybe Kathy or
Well, I had one that's something that we didn't talk about is the exchange rate currently. I know with things going on in Europe with Brexit and all this, where's the U.S. dollar best at?
In Europe right now.
Really?
It's a great exchange rate. I bought way too much stuff while I was over there.
Thank you.
Oh, I want to say one more thing. You were saying about places to go to. One of the places that I just went to was Budapest, and it was a wonderful place to go. The people were so friendly. The food it's pretty heavy, but it's really good. It's a beautiful, beautiful city.
well, awesome. Definitely more places on our bucket list, right? Well, we want to thank you, Judy, for being here this evening. Thank you for we have this certificate of appreciation on the
Thank
screen
you.
for imparting your valuable insights and inspiration as our guest speaker. And